Who am I and why am I building this beautiful movement of the Tribe of Freedom? Well, this started 16 years ago when I was 23 years old. At 23, I was intuitively called on what the Aboriginal people of Australia, where I grew up in far north Queensland, Australia, would call walkabout. And walkabout is a coming-of-age ritual of the Indigenous people. The Native Americans would call it more a vision quest, where we are called out into nature alone, usually, at least mine was, and through that process of dropping into the intuitive calling, as the Aboriginal people call in Australia, following the song lines of my ancestors, being guided by my ancestor, guided by Great Spirit, I found myself on a 31-day circumnavigation of the Big Island of Hawaii. So I took 31 days and I went all the way around the Big Island, which is the largest mountain in the world. It's bigger than Everest, but it's all underwater in the Pacific. It's a very powerful place. It's actually called Hawaii. And King Kamehameha, he united the 7 islands, the 7 chakra of Hawaii, and named all the islands after his island, Hawaii. So we call it the Big Island, but it's actually Hawaii. For those that have been there, you know how powerful it is, or maybe you've been to Oahu or Maui or another one of the islands. From King Kamehameha's island, and from Waipio Valley, where I spent 13 glorious days of my 31-day circumnavigation, King Kamehameha united those islands and brought peace to what was once a warring place. Yeah, there was Hawaii. So I'm 23. I'm up a tree for 3 days, and I have this feeling, this calling to circumnavigate the island, to just go. I'm just going to go around this island. And what was I doing in a tree for 3 days? I had a hammock and I just slept in a tree about 10 meters up for 3 days while I was doing my thing. I was on a vision quest. I was here to find myself. I realized at the age of 19 that the world that we were being sold was complete bullshit, and I had to find a better way, that I wanted to be happy. Because I tell you, at 19, I was the opposite of happy. I was very depressed. I was very upset with the world. I'd just received 16 criminal convictions. I'd fist fought my father. My world had fallen apart around me. Although at the same time, I was making amazing money, managing sales teams. And before that, I was studying biotechnology and microbiology at university. And before that, I was school captain of a very prominent posh Catholic school in Brisbane. And I went from this blessed life to this pain and destruction where I hurt people and I hurt myself and eventually received a punishment for it. And my life flashed before my eyes when a man who I tried to steal his car, there was a lot of pain back then when I was 19, he decided that he was going to kill me. And he threatened to kill me. We then put a restraining order on him. He broke the police restraining order and he tried to kill me. And I fled Brisbane under a blanket in the back of a car onto an aeroplane, and I flew back to Cairns on the 25th of January in 2001. And that was the day that my whole life just collapsed around me, and I realized that the world that I was trying to fit into was not a world for me. I only went to uni because mum and dad and my principal and everyone was saying, you got to go to uni, you got a great mind, go and study. I left that thankfully, and I got into work. I was in sales with Vodafone, making a lot of money. I did very well, moved up the ranks there very quickly, and thought, oh, money, we got to make money. I'm going to be rich, da-da-da-da-da. And I was miserable. I really wasn't happy doing what society was telling me was the things that I had to do. And so the moment that I landed back in Cairns, I literally broke down in tears on top of this mountain, Mount Whitfield in Cairns, and I cried for 2 hours, and I made some choices that day to find a better way. And I won't go into the details. In another episode, we can dive deeper into some of the experiences that I've had over the years. But most importantly, I just want to let you know that for the last now 20 years, as the time of filming this, my life has been dedicated to surrendering to Great Spirit, whatever you want to call it, right? Surrendering to that feeling inside me that is pulling me forward into my dharma, as we say in yoga, or into my mission on this planet. I believe every single person here has come on a divine mission. We got a human experience that we're living through, but there is a call on our lives to step into so that we can bring out divine gifts that you've been uniquely gifted with and I've been uniquely gifted with. And so for the last 20 years, I've done everything that I can to surrender into that calling. And at 23, after a few years of stepping onto this path and getting into meditation and trying to figure myself out, that calling called me to Hawaii. And that calling, after the 3 days in the tree, called me to venture into the wilderness. And over that 31 days, my life completely changed. About 3 weeks into the journey, I'd crossed the mountain. I'd came up the east coast, the Hilo coast in Waipio, then over the top to the Kona coast. And I was sitting in a heiau, which for the Hawaiian people is a sacred site. It was all stone, a couple of 100 years old. It was all broken, and there was a national park taking care of it. And I ended up camping in the heiau, and I stashed my bike, and I was camping in the heiau, and I sat to meditate, as I had been doing every day, and sometimes for hours a day for a few years up to that point. And I sat to meditate in this heiau, and I had what became my second deep spiritual experience. And I share this with you because I think it's an interesting story, but I also want you to understand where I'm coming from with the Tribe of Freedom mission and why I'm so determined and certain that this has to happen, that what I'm about to share with you in this uniting of us people, the people that feel there is a better way, that it's a reality that we must live. Because when I was 23 and I sat in that heiau, I was taken out of my body. People call it an out-of-body experience. I came up through my crown chakra and I was off. And at 21, after my first clairvoyant experience, I spent 7 hours with a tarot reader clairvoyant. I didn't know what that was when I was 21. Back then, it wasn't really popular like it is today. But after 7 hours of this woman downloading on me, just all about life and 1111 and the angels and how this whole reality works and the matrix and all of this, I left her house, ran out of petrol on the way home, and at midnight, sitting on the side of the road, I had a 45-minute, what I would now understand as like a Kundalini awakening. And again, I sound like a bit of a wanker sharing all of this, and I'm sorry if I sound like that. That's just what happened to me, okay? This has been my life. This has been my journey. I'm not sharing this for any other reason than this is what the reality is of my life. But 45 minutes, I had this white light and bliss experience, and it just changed everything. I could feel everybody. I could feel everything. And since then, I've really just done everything I can to surrender into this path. So anyway, back to Hawaii, back to 23, in this heiau, close my eyes to meditate, feel myself being taken. And I was shown a vision of our future, and of a future of, imagine light, all little candle flames, lots and lots of candle flames in a big, like, natural auditorium, you know, like like a valley with the hills, and as far as the eye can see, all these little lights, and it's just this one big white light. But it's all of our inner candle flames, and we were all together close to the earth, glowing this white light. And this is the vision that I have for us today. It's what I saw. I came back. I ended up walking for 7 days down the King's Trail, where King Khmer used to walk between his villages. And for 7 days, I was integrating this vision. That pushed me into 3 years of very deep spiritual work. Again, I'll share it another time. And then I launched what is now known to be Tribe of Freedom. I launched that 13 years ago in Encinitas, California, right where Swamiji's ashram is. Paramahansa Yogananda, who wrote the book Autobiography of a Yogi. I launched what was known as the Global Conscious Collective, the GCC. That was cool back then. And it's had a few iterations over the years. But the vision is pure. The vision is the same. We must come together. We must come back to nature and grow food again. We got to feel that connection again. We've got to realize the cycles of nature and how we are so connected to them, rather than our mind being March 1st, March 2nd, 30 days, hey, September, April, June, and November, which is totally, is it a leap year this year? We've got an extra day? It's artificial. It's not real. It was created for taxation. It was created to keep us in our mind. Indigenous cultures, and we are indigenous to this earth. It doesn't matter what you look like. And in a couple episodes, you're going to dive into a really great conversation with Lorena Thompson around indigenous cultures and our connection to Mother Earth. But the indigenous wisdom of the cycles of the moon, of the cycles of the season, the equinox, the solstice. It's time to come back to honoring our connection to the divine that is nature, right? The Father source coming through us, the Mother Earth coming through us, uniting in our heart space to guide us into the future. Because it's up to us today to take a stand as men and women. This is what I see. It's up to you and me to make the decision to stand as a free man and a free woman on this earth once more. because it's up to us to leave this legacy for our children and our children's children, and as the Native Americans say, for the 7 generations to come. And obviously, from me sharing a lot of these stories around Indigenous culture, I've spent the good majority of my life living with and learning from Indigenous cultures, and yet I'm blue-eyed and blonde-haired and a white fella, but I feel that connection. I feel who we truly are. It doesn't matter what you look like on the outside. It's who we are at our core, and we are love. We are divine essence, and we are here to unite. As I shared those little candle flames, you ever had 2 candle flames and you bring them together, right? Like 2 little candle flames. What happens when you bring the 2 candle flames together? The flame gets bigger, right? What if you bring 4 candle flames together? The flame gets even bigger. What if you brought 400,000 candle flames together? How big would that light be? How much warmth would that light bring to us? And you know what the Indigenous people used to use fire for? To keep away predators. We would have a fire at the center of our tribe burning all night to keep away predators. So you imagine, as we come together to unite our light, that you bring your light, that Dave brings his light, that I bring my light, that all of us come together with our light inside us, burning bright, and we unite those little candle flames. When together, we will be safe, we will be warm, we will be able to cook our food and live in abundance. Alone, I am but a candle ready to be blown out. United, we are a raging bonfire that can support so much life and those 7 generations to come. So this is the vision that I had at 23. This is the vision that I launched when I was 26. So what was 23? 2004, then 2007. I was in California for 12 months, making a TV show called Walkabout, of all things, taking at-risk teens into nature to help them to find their purpose in life so they can bring their gifts to the world. And that's a big part of what Tribe of Freedom is about. We want you to bring your gifts to this tribe. This is not a one-way conversation. This is a collaboration. That's very much where we're going with this, is we sit circle. Okay, this is not a pyramid. I might be speaking to you right now, but I want you to speak your voice, your truth, your passion in this tribe as well. When we sit circle, we are all equal. Albeit we have different roles in tribe, and those roles are all honored and appreciated and supported. We have different roles. We are all equals in this tribe. So I ask you to bring your wisdom, to bring your passion, to bring your energy, and bring it to the whole. Because the more of us that are willing to let go of scarcity, which is a mind-made concept, we'll talk more about that as we go into these conversations through this Tribe of Freedom podcast. Mind-made scarcity, once let go of, is no longer a burden on our psyche. And we get to live the freedom and the abundance that we truly are. Think of it this way. Water falls from the sky. We are 80% water, right? It falls from the sky. It's free. It's flowing down rivers and creeks everywhere right now. Our human body is 80% water. Air is in absolute abundance, even in this studio right now. It's everywhere, everywhere. And what do I need primarily in my life? I need air. It's free. It's here. Now, what else do we need? We need food that grows on trees and springs out of the ground, all right? If you know how to look for the signs in nature, there's food everywhere. It's in abundance. So air, water, food. What else do we need? We need tribe to bring us security. We have tribe. It's up to you and me to decide to come back together once more at this time in history. And finally, we need shelter, all right? And I don't know about you, but there doesn't seem to be a shortage of shelter anywhere. We can build homes. We can live in abundance. We can live in prosperity, right? So these simple things in life are free. And yet we have been controlled to believe through the media, the education, the governments, and the way that we're being manipulated, that there is a scarcity in the world and there's not enough to go around. Well, I call bullshit on that. And what I say is, how about you and I, you right there listening right now, listening to me, come together and let's figure out how to be abundant once more. Let's figure out how to let go of scarcity and truly be the abundance that we're here to be. Are you with me? Give me a yes if you're with me. You with me? All right, we're vibing the same vibes here, right? We're vibing the same vibes.